Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, yesterday I attended this call. You know, Mighty Networks, right? Right,
Yeah.
Amit. Their CEO hosted a webinar just explaining um, the importance of communities and importance of networks and why they've been a network company for quite a long, but their focus was never community driven. They were just network. I mean, they gave all the tech to get a good network going, but it was never community focused, right? I think there's a slight difference in terms of how you keep your community engaged, how you're able to energize your community. So I think that call was really interesting, though. How a relatively bigger company who've been doing this for a while and how they realize the importance of communities. They realize the importance of bringing like-minded people into one area, right? And then they think when like-minded people get to one place and have fruitful conversations, I think those can lead to some really cool ideas or trade or commerce or whatever that leads to. So yeah, I think especially in today's world where everyone's I think we're moving past these big companies and overarching communities having billions of people like Facebook, right? We're moving to more niche, more meaningful communities, as I would say. If you go to Facebook today, half of it is just pretty much people just trashing each other. Versus if you go to smaller communities, they're more respectable to each other, they're more meaningful, the conversations are more productive, I guess. So I would say absolutely. I think communities, building quality communities and going after them and making meaningful conversations happen is going to be very important in today's world. And with the whole Web3, I think that's the whole play there, bringing like-minded people together.
As Naveen mentioned, Web3, Amit, what are your thoughts on Web3 and how we can move and how it's evolving?
Yeah, so like we discussed, Web3 is powered by blockchain, basically, right? And I mean, it is more than just the tech, obviously. Web3 is a whole movement, it's a whole, ethos and stuff like that. But keeping that aside, specifically, with blockchain and with, tokens and things like that, Web3 is a very specific crypto universe or set of crypto universes, right? And so I like to think that from a business standpoint, technology should not become something that you need to think about, right? Like it should be out of the way. It should be invisible. And right now, blockchain is far from invisible, right? It's like everyone's got to have their own wallet. It's complicated shit. We don't know what's happening. Like it's a very complex set of things that my mom will never do, right? So I think that Web3 is got real, technological strengths, right? With the ability to create trustless, permissionless, or trustful, permissionless networks and communities where transactions can happen and things like that. But to Naveen's point earlier, it's a human problem, right? It's a community problem. It's a real normal world, real world, people engagement problem, which has to be solved with, two things: human centered interface design and really sort of, hiding the technology. Really, it's got to be like what people, when they say sufficiently advanced tech is indistinguishable from magic. Why should I know how a transistor works, right? Like, why should I know what the hell a blockchain is? Like, what do I know what a database is? Like if I'm a normal user, do I need to know, oh, there's a database and like all those things? I mean, this is just a ledger. Why is this so complicated, right? So we really need to abstract away all this nonsense, and it's all buzzwords right now. So everyone's like moving for it and this and that and that. But we are very clearly sticking to practical applications in the real world with real people, with real, very regular things, and then using appropriate technologies behind the scenes, right? That's what I think is the future.
You mentioned it's a buzzword. I saw a lot of people having their New Year resolution as like one of the things they want to do in this 2020 is learn about Web3, get to know more about Web3, how it works. But I think at the deep end or at the back end of it, it's more of how people are interacting, how communities are growing, and how you are interacting with each other, as well as how you're trading, how you're commercing from different vendors, different companies.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at even something like MetaMask, which is one of the most popular things, even they are not truly, totally decentralized. Let me explain what I mean by that. They use a lot of APIs which are actually centralized. For example, using MetaMask, if you look up your OpenSea account, it's possible to have a discrepancy where, because MetaMask is calling OpenSea APIs and OpenSea chooses to disconnect your NFT from their network, like they don't show it, MetaMask will think you don't have it. Okay. So this is still a problem in the universal system where, this is the complexity I'm talking about, right? Like now there's like thousands of blockchains, different sync points. Is it in this problem? The problem is it here or is it here? Like this is a nightmarish thing, to be honest, right? So we have to realize, and there's a lot of talk already in the VC community and others where they're like even Jack Dorsey and others, you might have seen dissing it, because really what's happening is VCs and others and people are just building centralized networks on top of so-called blockchain, throwing in some buzzwords and saying now it's decentralized. But it's really not decentralized. It's really centralized. I mean, OpenSea is a centralized network, right? So this is what I mean, that it's all buzzwordy right now. The dust will settle only when people start to benefit, real people, not like OpenSea and like the 25 big startups that are succeeding suddenly. Now, I'm talking about the actual enablement of billions of co-sellers, right? Where this distinction doesn't arise and any platform really services the needs of any user, not the other way around. Still, it's happening the other way around. OpenSea is very much a centralized network. For not dissing it, I love it, but just saying that that's the model today.
So you think because a lot of decentralization is happening bits and pieces, do you think, thinking of it from a DAO standpoint, right? Like at a legal entity standpoint, if you're able to decentralize and then build your organization top down from there, would that help this problem of having a little bit?
Absolutely. But the key part of it is not the decentralized part. The key part of it there is, because it's already decentralized. Everybody's already independent, right? They may have a relationship with you as an employee or as a whatever, but it is already people doing their own things. It just appears to be, this way. However, the future of DAOs and stuff is not just that it is decentralized using a technology and so it's automated, but the actual business model has to change. Right, which has nothing to do with technology. Like I can do a DAO type thing today without any of this tech. If I just tell people like we're doing in ShopType, we're saying, listen, we won't take all the money. We'll give it to you. It's that simple.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a question of like, I have to build complicated systems because Facebook doesn't want to give the money away. That's a different problem we're solving versus directly building a network that does what you want. Right. So I think that a notion of clarity, which is the function versus the implementation, has to be super clear, right? Because people want the function, they don't want the implementation. Right? I want a way to sell. Who cares how it happens? Right? Like that's what I mean. So if I'm a seller, I want to sell everywhere on the internet where that's possible. I don't need to know, should not know. Why doesn't the internet already know that? Like, isn't everybody connected already? So why isn't that already done for me? There is no centralized. It will have to be so-called, so it can be decentralized. I mean, ShopType will become decentralized on the line, in the traditional meaning of the word, right? But I mean, decentralization and centralization are just spectrums and they're not really meaningful things. Ultimately, it's just, do people benefit? Actual benefit.
And for people and for common people to benefit in a decentralized world, I think absolutely the technology should be more accessible, right? Today, a lot of this blockchain, they say it's the technology for the masses, anybody can participate. But even just opening a MetaMask account is incredibly difficult. I mean, difficult means you need to have the know-how to do all these things, or stake your NFT on some forum, or it's
very, very daunting. Very daunting.
I think that whole thing should change so people are comfortable. The barrier to entry should be a lot less in terms of technology, so where people can really participate in this decentralized world and actually benefit. I think there's incredible amount of benefits that can be driven through however you see decentralized, centralized, but it's just people being able to benefit from that technology as easily as possible.